I got to do this again. Damn it. That happens every once in a while. I'm sorry, but I had a great speech. I'll give it again. Here we go again. Sorry about that. Every night. It's been a long day. I've been in meetings all day long today about election process. So bear with me. It's been a long one. Let me start back up. Let's see here. What I started to say was, well, first of all, let me go back in. There was no sound there at all. Let me start back at the beginning. Today is Monday, January 8th. Tomorrow, January 9th, me and a bunch of other patriots are going to be down at the Indiana State House taking back our rights. You see, what's happening is that the WEF, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, what they've done is they've got their tentacles into the backyards of Indiana. They've got it into the backyards of the Hoosier State. And it's bad. It's real bad. And they're bringing their Green New Deal bullshit, and they're putting it into the state of Indiana through their wind farms, through their solar farms. But more importantly, they're taking farms, and there's only 22 million some acres in the state of Indiana. And this is the lunacy of what these people are advocating. They want to take 17 million acres. 22 million is what we have available. They want to take 17 million acres and turn those acres, convert them from farm into solar and wind. The wind, you might be able to farm below it, but the solar, you can't. The moment you put those solar panels up, that farmland is no longer farmland. That's solar land. So join us tomorrow, 11 a.m. at the Indiana State House. It's a legislation day. You get to talk to all the people, the speakers that are coming in. The John Birch Society is part of this. John Schrock is part of this. And you can talk to your legislature and legislators in the state of Indiana about what your feelings are about this Green New Deal bullshit that's coming to the state of Indiana. Again, 11 to 1 tomorrow at the Indiana State House, and I'll see you there. Over the weekend, I pissed a lot of people off. Let's get into that. Why did I piss people off? Because I'm tired of stupidity in our ranks. Now, I've been saying it for months, and every time I say it and bring it up, people go, "No, you're wrong, Kramer." No, I'm not. And folks, your cognitive dissonance is just as bad when it comes to this word democracy as Democrats are with anything to do with our freedoms and our rights and gun control. They've got a brain lock. I don't know why it happened or how it happened, but we've got to get back on the right path. Folks, we are a democracy. Whether you want to hear that or not, fact check me. We're a democracy. Why? Because we can vote. If you go to work and they ask you, "Hey guys, we're thinking about changing the Coke machine to a Pepsi machine. You want to vote on it?" That's the democratic process. You get to hear, if your boss makes the decision, you don't have a voice. That's not democracy. "But Kramer, we're a constitutional republic." You're right there too, we are. Which is a form of democracy. There's a ton of different types of democracy. There's presidential democracy. The president makes all the rules, kind of like a dictator. There's representative democracy. There's Christian democracy, believe it or not. That's a whole nother subject. I've been going through it. The reason I say this is because I was corrected. You see, I made a video that went widespread calling not Charlie Rangel. What was his name? The guy from MSNBC, the little pencil neck dude, bobblehead dude, used to be real fat. Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton had made the comment that we're a democracy. And I think it was Tim Burchett came back and said, "No, we're a constitutional republic." Or I'm not sure who it was that came back and said that. Well, that video went viral for me. Tons of views. And I came back and said, "Oh, the stupidity of saying that we're a democracy." Folks, Sharpton was right. We're a democracy. Whether you like it or not, we're a democracy. The form of democracy that we practice in this country is called constitutional republicanism. Majoritarianism is the one we don't want. Majoritarianism is where the majority can vote on anything, and 50 plus 1 gets us in trouble. So your cognitive dissonance about this one word, saying it's not a democracy, we're not a democracy, we are a democracy. If you have the right to vote in this nation, we're a democracy. That's the definition of democracy. So you're a democracy. You live in a democracy. You have the opportunity to vote. Now, what type of democracy do you live in? Do you know? There you go. Now you can say it. We're a constitutional republic. We practice constitutional republicanism. Folks, I made a video where I was wrong. I was incorrect when I said that we don't live in a democracy, and I was corrected by one of the most conservative members of social media. He's a history professor. He knows what he's talking about. He's on our side. And he told me, Kramer, I'm sorry, but I've got to correct you. I said, what? I said, no, we're a constitutional republic. I said, democracy. He goes, no, democracy is the act of voting. Oh, you're right. Yeah, I'd gotten so wrapped up into this fight that I'd forgotten that, in Greek and Latin derivatives, democracy means the ability to vote. So if we have the ability to vote and that makes us a democracy, then what kind of democracy are we? Constitutional republic. It's kind of like, what's an F-150? Well, it's a truck. What else is it? It's a Ford. Not all Fords are F-150s, but all F-150s are Fords. So let's take that backwards. Is a constitutional republic, a democracy? Yes. But are all democracies constitutional republics? No. This is the thing that we've got to open ourselves up to, folks. When somebody comes out and says something that you've got held in your heart, and especially if it's somebody that you like or you follow and they're screaming and yelling at you and you're going, no, it can't be true. That's your cognitive dissonance taking a kick to the balls. Do you know how hard it was for me to swallow the crow to come out and say I was wrong? Yeah. I hated it. It's embarrassing. But I was wrong. Stop listening to memes. Stop letting memes and videos that don't have any context. They shouldn't be the way that you get your information, that you understand the system that's going on. Even my videos, you should take and you should investigate. Don't trust me. Don't take my word for it, because I could be wrong. Like I was when I said that, hey guys, we're a constitutional republic. We're not a democracy. We are a democracy. I stand corrected. Don't have any problem saying that. I'm good with it. I've learned. I've moved on. And now I'm correct. I'm not incorrect. And that's what I've been telling people. You've got to learn to do that. When you're wrong, you're wrong. And who cares if the Democrats are right on this issue? We know plenty of others that they're wrong on. But for you to say that we're not a democracy, folks, what scared me was that when this young lady in a post told me, we're a constitutional republic, Kramer, I don't want anything to do with democracy, I knew then that we had an issue, that we had to do something about it. I had to start speaking out about it. Now, you can call me anything you want. You can say I'm a communist. You can say I'm a Democrat. You can say anything. You'll be wrong on that, just like you're wrong on the fact that we are a democracy. If you don't believe that, you're wrong. Just like I was. And it's time to face it and go, you know what? Yep, you're right. I'd rather be right than stubborn. I'd rather be correct than stubborn. We got a long row to hoe in this nation over the next 10, 11 months, folks. And these types of issues we shouldn't be bickering and bartering about. The fact that people, I looked at it, when the tools that we have, we can look and see how much time has been spent on content, and especially how much time it takes to write content. For you to write me a diatribe of how I'm wrong. And the thing that I keep asking everybody that said that I was wrong, that I don't know what I'm talking about, that we're a constitutional republic, which is right, but that we're not a democracy, which is wrong, nobody went to actually do any research. And everybody that did go do their research sent me one video, black and white, I think it was from 1963, where he describes that we're not a democracy. But if you listen closely, he says we're not a specific kind of democracy. There's another one from the Heritage Foundation, I believe, that a bunch of people sent me. And he's incorrect. He's just incorrect. Folks, it's not me trying to be right. Right is right. And if I was wrong, well, I am wrong. I am wrong. I was wrong. I believed like you. And I kept saying the exact same thing. And then when it got pointed out to me that I was wrong, well, the first thing is, that's what you do as an adult. You go, hey, I was wrong. I made a mistake. You own up to it. And then you try to educate those around you. But that's hard. Because everybody's so entrenched. They got it in their head. Their cognitive dissonance will not allow them to say that they were wrong. You know how much you grow when you say that? Humbles you, right? All of a sudden, okay, I'm not as smart as I thought I was. I'm good with that. I grew this week. right? By making those videos, I grew, and hopefully I can help you grow. Again, don't take my word for it. Go fact check me. But don't go to memes and videos. That's what I got a lot. A lot of memes that explain that we're a constitutional republic. And nowhere in the Constitution does it ever say anything about democracy. Do you know why? Because those were educated men. They knew that they were going to be practicing some form of democracy. They didn't know which one. And when Franklin was leaving the signing of the Constitution, I think that was the event where it happened. But they asked him, they said, "What kind of government did you give us, sir?" And he said, "A republic, as long as you can keep it." He didn't say a constitutional republic. He said a republic. So does that mean that we don't have a constitution? No! Stop getting hung up on things and look at the base. What is democracy? Democracy is the right to vote, to participate. Now, with that being said, you have an opportunity. You have maybe one last opportunity in this nation to make a difference with your vote. People are saying that it's not worth it. Folks, I'm with you. I think that we are in a dire situation in this nation. Dire. Do I think that the election of 2024 is going to save us? Absolutely not. But if we don't participate in this last election that we have available to us, if we don't participate, if you don't play your part, if you don't show up, then you have no voice or no reason, no excuse to complain. I'm pragmatically optimistic, right? What that means is that I plan for the best or hope for the best and plan for the worst. I've been begging that people do the exact same thing. But if you say that, well, I'm not going to vote. My vote in 2020 didn't count. Won't you be angry if it doesn't count again? Won't you be even angrier if it happens again? And this time, we're not going to sit down and let it happen again. It's not going to stay that way. We're learning day after day after day that the corruption that's been around this election of 2020, everything that's happened, all the information that's come out about Jeffrey Epstein and what's every lie that they've told us is coming. We're finding out that the lies were lies and that the truth is coming to the surface now. And folks, this is the most dangerous part. They now got videotape, supposedly, of Bill Clinton fucking kids. Prince Charles fucking kids. Well, I shouldn't say that. They've got video of them fucking. Let me put it that way. I don't know if it's kids or not. We'll have to see on that one. But it explains why they didn't want to release all this information. Same exact reason they didn't want to release the tapes from January 6th. Why? Well, did you watch the Tucker Carlson piece with Clay Higgins from Louisiana? Where Clay Higgins claims that the footage and their evidence shows that there were FBI and Capitol Police assets in the Capitol. In the Capitol. They were the guides that got the MAGA people around. They were dressed up as Trump supporters to showcase, here you go here, because if you go to the people's house, it's a maze. You can't get around unless you know how to get around. And it takes a long time to understand how to get to this office or that office or this place or that place. It's a maze. It's not like you walk in and there's the Senate side and there's the House side. No. It's a rat's nest in there. So now they're finding out that the footage showed that, well, wait a minute, there were cops dressed up as Trump supporters in the building, embedded prior to anyone breaching the walls, to anyone breaching the doors. That's why this is our last election. We're being lied to across the board. And meanwhile, sadly, Americans don't know, and I was one of them, that we live in a democracy. And they'll argue and scream and shout about it, but they won't show up when they're needed most. Spend hours writing diatribes to me, books on how I'm wrong. And I keep asking, what's your source? Where did you get what you're saying? Where did yours come from? I can show you my sources. The Federalist Papers. Yeah, that's the source that was given to me. Read this, Kramer. See if I'm wrong. Because I didn't trust him either. My cognitive dissonance wouldn't allow me to do it either, but guess what I did? I ate crow and I read what he sent me. And guess what I learned? Yep, I was wrong. And if you're saying that we're not a democracy, you're just as wrong. We'll be right back after this.
America's political prisoners need our help.
CramerSez is on a mission to raise $100,000 or more.
Can you help? Join our mission today
At CramerSez.shop. You're watching
CramerSez.
Welcome back. It is a weird one tonight. Like I said, I've had a weird couple of days here. I've been bitching and screaming and yelling at people, and I went through some of the comments here, and that I'm a grump. I love that. Yes, I am a grump. I'm tired of my nation being in the situation that it's in, and that when you try to educate people or correct them on where they're wrong, they take it like you've knocked the chip off their shoulder. That's not what I'm here to do, folks. We are in dire straits. And if we're arguing about what kind of political system that we work in or we live in, and you don't understand the system fully that we live in, then we can't leverage it. That's what it comes down to. The system works in a specific way. And you've got to become a bigger part of that on a daily basis. It's been sad for me over the last few months to see. It's been sad for me over the last few months to see some of the comments that I've received from people where they say that nothing's ever going to happen. I agree. Nothing will happen if you don't get out of your chair. Folks, it's happening all the time. You're not there. Tonight, I went to a meeting in Greencastle, Indiana. It's about an hour and a half away from me to go try and make sure that the Green New Deal's fingers and tentacles can't get themselves lodged into Indiana. They're trying. Hoosiers are fighting back. We're saying, no, we don't want this in our state. And it's our politicians, it's our commissioners, it's the elected people who are on the fucking dole who are fighting us. You see the signs everywhere. No solar, no wind farms. No carbon sequestration. They don't want it in their backyards. But the commissioners, the elected people, are saying, fuck you, we're going to do it anyway. That's why we're showing up. And tonight, there were about 35, 40 people there. Guess what they did? They canceled the meeting. They rescheduled it. Too many people showing up. They don't want any eyes on it. So guess where we'll be on February 1st? We'll be right back there. And there will be more of us next time. They'll have to make sure that there's room out in the foyer. Because we're going to need more room for the people who are going to bitch about the fact that we don't want these things in our backyard. Now, I had other things I could have done tonight. I could have sat down and I could have been watching that Michigan game. I could have been talking to friends. I could have gone to play poker. I could have gone to a bar. I could have gone in the Friendly down there in Zionsville. Had me some chicken wings. Didn't do that. Why? Because fighting this fight is more important. As you say that nothing's happening, there are people right now showing up at these meetings to fight for it. You're not showing up. If you're saying nothing's happening, you don't think anything's happening because you're not there. And I've said, there's only two ways you change things in this nation. Two. Either you show up or you send a check. That's it. There's no other way that things get changed in this nation. Charles Bookwalter is running for Congress in the 4th District. He needs money. He can't fight against the incumbent because the incumbent is using the system. He's using your tax dollars as campaign funds. It's called franked mail. And he doesn't want to spend any of his money. So what he does is he spends taxpayer money to say, hey guys, look at how good I'm doing. It's an uphill battle for the grassroots guys. And this is across the nation. And what happens? I scream and yell and say, hey, listen, you guys want to make change? Go get new people. Get guys like Charles. Jim Baird, the guy that's been in there, he's been there 6 years. Are things better under Jim? No, they're not. By the way, Jim Baird is the guy, if you don't know this in the state of Indiana, Jim Baird is the dude who initiated this Green New Deal initiative in the state of Indiana. I kid you not. He's the one, hey, give me all that money. Give me all that money. I want to put all that money in the state of Indiana. He voted against it so that he couldn't be labeled as one of those leftists. Didn't vote for it. But he's going to utilize it, and he's going to get as much money as he can for his rich buddies and rich friends in the state of Indiana. because that's what's happening. They're taking tax dollars to make a very small group of people very, very rich. And then they tell you that it's your responsibility to pony up the money to do that. Here's the kicker. For those people that are doing this, that are signing, these farmers that are signing this deal in the state of Indiana, if the company that put the stuff into their ground goes belly up, if they go bankrupt, the state and the company are off the hook. You want that stuff out of your ground? You want the toxic materials that they've left behind? I mean, did you see the solar farm that just got obliterated? What was it, out west in Texas or Oklahoma or someplace like that? Where hundreds of thousands of acres destroyed, the solar panel destroyed because of hail. You're telling me you don't have a solution for that? And by the way, they tore all of those solar panels out, and as soon as you tear them out, what do they become? They become toxic waste. Cannot be stored. They've got to be thrown away and in very expensive landfills because they don't know what these chemicals are going to do if they leach out. And this is all happening because we as Americans are not doing our part and playing our role. We're not showing up in the numbers that scare them. January 6th scared them. They don't want that happening again. That's why they're doing what they're doing. They're going after everybody. In fact, right now, the DOJ just announced, folks, they just announced that they're going after people that were just on the grounds. Didn't hit a cop, didn't break a window, were just there regressing their grievances against the government. They're making free speech illegal. Well, you were on the wrong ground when you did. Does that sound like something from the playground? You can't do that from there. You can't throw the ball from there. That's a safe zone. Didn't you just make up that rule? Well, yes, I did. That's what we're living through. And you have to show up. You have to play your role. You have to play your part. And the way that you do that is one of two ways. You show up and you vote. That's part of it. You also open your mouths. And you be very proudly and loudly say, I'm not doing this anymore. I refuse to go along with this. Folks, it's no different than the playground. The moment you stop complying, they lose their power. Haven't you ever noticed that with a friend? Ever had a friend that pushed you? They would never do anything for you. They were always expecting you to do things for them. And the moment that you stopped playing their game, what happened with them? They disappeared, didn't they? Why? Because they no longer had any power over you, and you were of no use to them. I think it's interesting. Let's get into some of the news from today. I think it's interesting that the more that we find out about this information with Jeffrey Epstein and the involvement with the Clintons. From the Gateway Pundit, Epstein docs released today. Hillary Clinton sent henchmen to intimidate victim. Footage of Clinton's sex tapes backed up on USB sticks. Payouts from Clinton Foundation and an FBI cover-up. Folks, this is why they didn't want Trump being president for the next 4 years. I think if they had just let him be president and let him do his thing, I think that it would have worked out better. And the reason I think that it would have worked out better is because Trump was kind of naive. I don't think maybe he knew everything that was going on and how bad he was getting screwed. Maybe he did. I may be wrong. But I think that he thought he could go in there and run it as a business and they would respect him. What they knew is that, hey, he's only going to be here for 4 years. It's like a substitute teacher. I don't have to listen. I'm going to be here for 3 days. If they'd given him this last 4 years, if he'd had this last 4 years, do you think that the nation would have changed that much? No, they would have, okay, it's a speed bump. We'll take control in 4 years and 8 years. People will be tired of the Republicans by then, and we can take it back, and then we can do everything that we want. We'll have full power. They didn't do that. They did 2020, and we all know what that is. We all know what happened in 2020. The evidence continues to come out. Catherine Engelbrecht and others. Look at what's happening in Fulton County, Georgia. Oh, Raffensperger now won't cooperate now that they're starting to get down to the real numbers. And they found out that there's 20-some thousand votes that weren't supposed to be counted. They got counted in Fulton County, Georgia, and now Raffensperger's all of a sudden shutting up. We said when 2020 happened that we couldn't trust 2024 until 2020 was taken care of. Folks, I don't trust 2024. Neither should you. But we have to be optimistic. We have to go forward and say, okay, we're going to put the best foot forward and hope they don't do what they did in 2020. And if they do, then you know what happens next. They don't get two of them. I'm not going to say shame on me. I've raised my voice. It's our elected officials on the left and on the right that have stalled any kind of action in finding out what really happened in 2020. We've got Nikki Haley and we've got Ron DeSantis both saying, well, let's just move on, guys. Just move on. Nothing to see here. Nobody wants to go back and relitigate 2020. Nobody wants to do that. We want to move on. Trump is nothing more than drama, and it's going to cause all kinds of havocs in the nation. We don't want that. Go with us, guys. Go with us. We'll move past it like nothing ever happened. You don't have to worry about that masking issue. We're just going to forget about it. Are you ready to move forward? Do you want to move past it? I know I don't. I want to find out who was pulling the levers of power. I want to find out on election night who made the phone call to say, hey, listen, we've got to get all these states to stop. Let me explain something to you, folks. Those states run independent elections, just as our forefathers and our founding fathers, they wanted that. They wanted the states to be independent from the federal election process. So they gave those rights to the states. They're independent. They have no connections at all with each other. The state of Wisconsin does not rely on the state of Georgia for its elections. The state of Pennsylvania does not rely on the state of Arizona for its elections. The state of Wisconsin has nothing to do with Nevada and their elections. They're not connected. They have nothing to do with each other. So the question you've got to ask yourself is, why did they all decide to stop counting at the exact same time? Why did they decide all at the same time? These independent systems, why did they stop counting all at the same time? That's the collusion, folks. Doesn't matter what we saw Ruby Freeman doing. It doesn't matter what we think we saw happening in Arizona or Wisconsin or Pennsylvania or Michigan. That's the one question that we have to answer. That's the most important question. Who made that phone call or those series of calls to get those people to stop counting those votes? Who was it? What member of the DNC was it? Or was it somebody with the RNC? Was it one of our own? I don't care who it was. Those are the questions that people want to learn, and that's why I don't think that we're going to see an election in this country like we've ever seen before, if we have one. With that being said, you still got to vote. You still got to get out there. You still got to make your voices heard. You are the one who drive this nation. You get up every day and go to work. You pay your taxes. Doesn't matter how much you make, how little you make, you play a role and you have a voice. That's what makes this nation great. And if you're going to give it up and you're going to say, I'm not participating anymore, I'm not going to do that, my voice doesn't matter. It mattered on January 6th. Mattered so much that they're taking extra precautions to make sure it never happens again. They don't want anybody thinking that they can ever do that to the powers that be, to stand up to them. Yeah, I know. Protesting, yeah, I know it's in the Constitution. You have the right to do it, but we'd prefer you don't. And if you do, and we don't like what you have to say, then we're going to come after you. We're going to use all the power that we have to come after you. Oh, sure, you can burn down Portland. You can burn down Seattle. They're shitholes. Didn't used to be, but they are now. So burn them down. We don't care. We're going to make those 15-minute cities anyway. Those are the first places to go. So yeah, destroy them. We don't care. Folks, there's too much writing on the line with this election. So we can go back to what I started the conversation with, which is about democracy. We are a democracy. You may hate what I'm saying. You may disagree. You're wrong, but we're a democracy. The form of democracy we have is constitutional republicanism, where your voice matters. The reason that that's important is because we have a representative government based on the individual rights of people. Mob rule doesn't get to change things. But we're still in a democracy. We're not a majoritarianism form of democracy. We're a constitutional republic. Those are the facts. And if you don't like what I'm having to say, then that's fine. We can disagree, but you're wrong. Just like I was wrong. I was wrong. I know some people took my video and played it back to me. And they said, Kramer, look, this is proof. This is proof that you don't know what you're talking about. So they're using my video of me saying that we're a constitutional republic, not a democracy, as if, well, no, I was wrong. I made a mistake. If my account on TikTok was still up when I made that, I would go back and I would say I was wrong, just like I'm doing now. I was wrong. I was incorrect. Crow tastes terrible. But once you eat it, you never have to eat it again on that subject. You can move past it. I don't have to defend myself with my cognitive dissonance. I don't have to go to all these different measures and say, no, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Nope, I've accepted it. I was wrong and I've moved on. It wasn't a Democrat. It wasn't a liberal. It wasn't one of these globalists who taught me the right way. It was one of us. A person that you yourself would, I'm not going to say his name. But if I said his name, because I'm not bringing him into this conversation, but if I said his name, you would go, oh my God, you're right. Don't trust me. And don't take it from a meme or don't take it from a video from 1963. Go do your research. Use your favorite browser. Get off and just find out what the definition of democracy is. Start with that. What is the definition of democracy? What is it? It's the act of voting, folks. That's it. That's all it is. The act of voting. And then there's a bunch of different ways that you can manage that vote afterwards. Those are the different forms of democracy. Canada's different from us. They're a democracy. Great Britain's different than us. They're a democracy. They have parliaments. They're parliamentarian democracies. We're a constitutional republic democracy. Taking your calls at 877-619-3899. I would love to have somebody call me up and let me know where I'm wrong. Or at least say, yeah, Kramer, I realized I was wrong too, and you're right. Either way, phones are open at 877-619-3899. We'll be right back after this.
CramerSez is everywhere.
Twitter, Truth, Instagram,
And always on America's fastest growing free speech platform.
CramerSez Social.
Make your free account today
At CramerSez.com.
CramerSez.com. America's political prisoners need our help.
CramerSez is on a mission to raise $100,000 or more.
Can you help? Join our mission today.
At CramerSez.shop. You're watching
CramerSez.
You know what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to do I'm going to have to rewire this whole system. Because what I've realized is that every time I come on, if I miss one button, and I've got to make it easier. So this weekend, I'm going to make sure that happens. Hey, by the way, if you live in the state of Indiana and you're tired of all the bullshit that's going on with the Green New Deal and BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, and so on, you have an opportunity tomorrow to make your voice heard. It's a legislative day. The legislature will be there. And we're having a huge meeting showcasing that we want these people out. It's Saving the Farmer. It's a legislative day. I don't know if it's a protest, it's a meetup, but you can definitely come in and talk to your legislature about how you want the Green New Deal out of the state of Indiana. If you don't want these issues here, folks, you got to make your voice heard. And this is an opportunity to do it. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. Till 1 p.m. at the Indiana State House, legislators will be there to listen to you and your concerns about the acts and the activities that the actions that they're taking to put Green New Deal initiatives into the Hoosier State. We got to get it taken care of. We got to get these solar farms, these wind farms, and this carbon sequestration scam out of the state of Indiana. It is not. Here's what's funny, folks. One of the companies that came into Indiana and started doing this, as soon as they realized certain counties weren't going to give them a tax abatement, meaning they didn't have to pay taxes for 10 years, they just moved to the next county. If they couldn't do this for free, they weren't interested in doing it. They're going to do it as cheap as possible. So they're not going to pay any taxes. That means, let me explain how this works. They take your tax money as a grant to go do these things and build these companies. And then when they go belly up, like Solyndra, $600 million down the drain. One company, $500 million. Oh, we can do this. We can get. It's a scam, folks. It's a scam. Here's what's interesting. If there was really money in solar, if it was really there, they'd be knocking on your door asking you to put your solar panels on. They did that for a while. Why? Because there were huge subsidies. These companies were making a lot of money by getting you to put solar on your house. And then what do you find out 3 or 4 years later that what it does to your roof and so on? They didn't care. They got their cut of the money. That's what it's all about. A few months ago, I got contacted by a group out of D.C. I own a national ad agency. And we were asked to work on a project to be able to get some money, get our hands on some of that last COVID money. What? You want to do what? Well, there's COVID money left over, and we want to get our hands on that. What do you mean you want to get your hands on COVID? COVID's over. That was 2 years ago. Yeah, but there's still money available. Keep in mind, these are Republicans, folks. In no short order, I told them to go fuck themselves. You're the problem, guys. You're the leeches that feed off of the carcass of all of these Americans that go to work every day. They go to work every fucking day. You're asking for $50 million, and you're telling me up front, Kramer, if you do part of this, you're going to make $750,000. Yep, ain't my money. That's your money. And we need more people that have the backbone to say, you know what, I can't do that. I cannot do the wrong thing. I'll give you an example. I've got a van, folks. I've got an E250 van I bought in 2007. I think it's got 60,000 miles on it. We drove it around town. It was just to get from here to there, and I've driven it across country a couple times, but it really hasn't been put through the paces, right? It's not been worked to death. Got a transmission problem with it. Part is obsolete. Ford no longer makes that piece for '07. Can't find it anywhere. So the truck, for the most part, well, it's dead. And a buddy of mine says, well, just sell it. He goes, those trucks are going. I said, I can't sell it. He goes, why? He said, well, here's the deal. I said, I get some guy who's just starting his business. I remember being him. And I sell him my broken truck, and I don't tell him. I can't tell him, right? I can't sell it to him and tell him, because if I tell him, hey, listen, you're going to buy this, but the transmission's broken, and the part that you need to replace is obsolete. You can't get it replaced. So you'll never be able to get it fixed, and eventually it's going to go out on you. I've either got to tell him that, or I don't tell him. And if I tell him, he's not going to buy it. I wouldn't buy it. And I'm not going to tell him, because that's dishonest. And I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to get that van. That's my luck, been my luck through the years. Somebody thinks, oh, I can get rid of this van, and somebody else will pay the cost. Nope, I don't do that. Because I remember being the poor guy, the guy that didn't have the money. I've got the money to get the transmission fixed. They just don't have the part. And I'm not going to penalize somebody who doesn't. Because if they're buying that van used from me, it means they don't have the money and what it's going to take to go get a really nice van that works. Otherwise, they wouldn't be buying mine. That's what we need from our congressional members, folks. People that are honest. People that have character, morals, and say, I can't do this to my fellow neighbor. So when these men came to me and said, hey, listen, there's $50 million available. We can get our hands on that. You'll make $750,000. No! It's not your money. It's not my money. It's not even our money. That's our grandchildren's money. We're not taking money from you and I. We're never paying $50 million back. That money's never going to be paid back. If there's any hope, it's going to go to our kids and our grandkids. Oh, they're not going to pay it back either. So how are we going to pay that money back? Well, like we are right now. High interest rates, high inflation. Everything just costs more. You won't get as much. That's how you're going to pay it back. And if you don't vote, and if you don't participate, I know I'm optimistic. I know I am. I don't think it's going to happen either, folks. But I'm planning for the best. I'm planning with hope. I'm also expecting the worst. I think we all are. We're all waiting for that other shoe to drop. We hear about 10-foot creatures in Miami. We've got explosions going on in New York and Brooklyn. We've got, what else going on? Supposedly there's an assassination plan by the GOP to kill all the Democrats. I mean, this is the world that we live in today. It's crazy. It's insane. We've got to get back to the basics. And the way that we do that is we have to get people that have moral character. I love to hear what Clay Higgins had to say on his interview with Tucker Carlson. I watched that last night. I'm surprised that he's still walking, making the claims that he's making. That our FBI, it's what we were saying 2 years ago, 3 years ago. That what we've been saying, that there was a setup from the get-go. Now the DOJ is going after people, American citizens, who just went there to scream and yell at a building. They didn't harm anybody. But they were on restricted ground. That's our ground, motherfuckers. It's ours. And for one day we stood there and screamed and yelled at a building, then went home when they said you got to go home. First insurrection in world history that was broken up because the mayor put out a curfew. Folks, I'm going to be real honest as I close out here. I don't do this for me. Don't do this. I didn't want to do this tonight. I've been gone all day. I've been up since 6 o'clock this morning, going, talking all day, trying to convince people to do the right thing. And the number one thing that I say is the right thing to do is to get involved. Stop expecting somebody else to go defend your freedoms. I'm not out there for you. I'm out there for me. I want you there beside me, fighting for your rights, just like I'm fighting for mine. But if you're going to stay at home and expect me to do that for you, or you're going to stay at home and say, well, nothing's ever going to happen, or you're going to stay at home and you're going to say, well, yeah, I know it's getting bad out there, but I'm just one person. Donald Trump's just one person. I'm just one person. Steve Bannon's just one person. Matt Gaetz is just one person. But they're loud, and they won't shut up. And they're telling you what's going to happen next and what's going to come next. Unless you get involved with your freedom, you don't have any. That Constitution, that piece of paper that's sitting there in the archives, that is not a guarantee of freedom. It's a promise. You have to guarantee that freedom. You do. You have to defend it. The tyrannical and the oppressive, they want to test the limits of the Constitution on a daily basis. And you have to realize that the men who put that in motion, the men that gave us our country, they put their lives on the line when they signed that dotted line. When they put their that feather, that quill, when they put it to that parchment, that was a death sentence. Because that's how important that piece of paper is. At some point, if you want the Constitution to be real, you've got to be willing to defend it with your life.
America's political prisoners need our help.
CramerSez is on a mission to raise $100,000 or more.
Can you help? Join our mission today
At CramerSez.shop.
CramerSez is everywhere.
Twitter, Truth, Instagram,
And always on America's fastest growing free speech platform.
CramerSez Social.
Make your free account today
At CramerSez.com.
CramerSez.com.
You're watching
CramerSez.
Well, hopefully, those of you who like my content will continue to watch. I'm only going to become louder and more grumpy. Sorry. We're in a coal mine, and it's caving in. It's full of gas, and the canary is me, telling you what's going to happen next. Folks, I've decided, and may have said this on a live that you caught or whatever, but I'm not going back to work. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing and working with the people I'm working with, because I think that between now and election night of 2024, we've got a tough row to hoe in this nation. I'm looking at the headlines that are coming in, and they're concerning. I mean, we've got a group of men and women who are afraid that their name is going to be dropped at any point, or they've got videos out there that are going to be dropped at any point, and they're dangerous because they will do anything to protect what they've got. They will not let themselves go down. They will burn entire cities if that's what it takes. So that's why I'm coming back and doing this, is to let you know that this is the people that you're up against, and that the only thing that can win is you. You, not me. The moment that we win this battle, I'm done. I go back into the shadows. I'm done. I couldn't give two shits anymore. I want to go back and enjoy my retirement. I want to enjoy the American dream. I can't do it right now. It's a nightmare. You see it as well as I do. But I can't do it alone. None of us can. Those of us that show up We're so excited when we see new faces, new people that have woken up and said, okay, I'm going to commit my time. I'm going to show up because this is important. Sadly, it's generally just old people, older than me in their 70s and 80s. They're showing up. Well, they've got the time, Kramer. No, they know what's going on. Why do you think of it, so many of us graybeards coming forward and say, listen, this is what they're doing to you? Let me explain something in closing here real quick, folks. I got a fantastic public education. I've been going back and forth with this idiot from Missouri who thinks that today's schools are the end-all be-all to education. They're not. They suck. Today's schools are ridiculous. Why? Well, because of 1978. The Department of Education was put in place in 1978. I got educated prior to 1978. My lessons and what I learned about was picked, that curriculum was picked by my teachers and the school system that I went to. The values that community had, that's what we were taught. Today, it's not the same thing. Oh, you want this grant? You want that grant? You want this? You want this? Do you want a new gymnasium? Do you want this? You want this? Well, you'll have to do what we say out of the Department of Energy, or Department of Education, rather. It's unconstitutional. There's nowhere in the Constitution that it gives the federal government the authority to manage schools. It's not enumerated. That means it's a state right. And the states have given up your rights. They've said that they're going to give D.C. the authority to make decisions about your kids locally. Why? Removes them from any kind of liability. Well, we didn't make that deal. The Department of Education did. Yeah, I've been playing this game a long time. That's exactly how it's done. Because in a deal here recently, we were making a commercial. We were going to make a statement about Jim Baird and his campaign. And I said, well, I wouldn't put it that way. They go, why not? Because if you put it out that way, this is exactly the way that I would hit you back on it. Why are you doing that? That's what I'm good at. Just like I've been good with this thing with democracy. I'm going to wrap up with the way that we started tonight. Folks, we are a democracy. And if you're going, we're not, that's your cognitive dissonance. We are. We vote. China, not a democracy. Russia, they're a democracy. It's a different kind, but they vote. Iraq is a democracy. Afghanistan, democracy. Well, I think so. Did they get rid of that? I don't know if they're still doing the purple finger thing or not. By the way, that's what we should do here. Once you vote, you dip your finger. You don't have to have any ID, but you got to dip your finger. You can't come back and vote again. Sorry. It worked in Iraq. It worked in Afghanistan. It should be okay for here. If that's how you defend freedom and you defend democracy overseas, then that's what we want to do here. You don't have to have an ID, but you're going to have a purple finger for a couple days. Let everybody know that you voted. But we can disagree all day long. The thing that we can't do is that when faced with the facts, have our own facts. There's no such thing. So the video that I made where I said, we're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic, I was half right. We're both. Democracy is the ability to vote. Constitutional republicanism is the form that we use that in, the democracy. That's the form of democracy that we practice. Still hate me? I love you. With that being said, my name is Kramer. I'm out of here. I'll be back as soon as I can. Maybe tomorrow night, maybe the next day, I don't know. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
You're watching
CramerSez.